That's right.
That's right. It's not the
Go
plane,
ahead.
it's the pilot.
It's the pilot. God. All right. Go ahead.
Top Gun Maverick. So, Top Gun Maverick is the sequel 36 years after the original Gun came out in 1986, directed by Tony Scott. Huge cultural hit, big impact on American culture, military culture, just a whole lot of things. An 80s classic. And where are we 36 years later? Well, we find Mavericks still flying for the Navy. He is a test pilot, and he is called back to Top Gun school to train the best of the best for a very kind of death-defying mission. They've corralled like 12 pilots, something like that, and there's a mission that has to be done, and it's something that will push all the pilots, all their experience, the what the planes can and can't do. And Maverick's the only person who can teach them, and who no one believes in, by the way, which I really like. Jon Hamm is in this. He's kind of one of the commanders. He's like, I don't even know why you're here. I don't know what you have to offer. I was just told to bring you in, so that's why
he's the goddamn it Maverick character, like
yeah.
sitting in the control room, like, God damn it, Maverick.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of the recruits is Rooster, which is the son of Anthony Kerrigan.
And Anthony Edwards, son of Goose.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards' character, Goose, who perishes in the first movie. And so there's a lot of built-in tension, a lot of built-in conflict, which I think worked really well. You have Rooster, who is there having to learn from the man who potentially was responsible for his father's death. They don't get along. No one and like everyone treats Maverick like a dinosaur. No one is respectful to him in like the whole area of the city. Like he kind of struts around like he's going to be a local legend, and everyone's like, "Get out, old man." So it's a really interesting and updated approach, and I think it's part of what helped this work really well. But our main plot, we got this death-defying mission. We got to train pilots to do it. We got some tension amongst the pilots themselves because they're all hot shots, all have big egos, and then of course Maverick and Rooster have some real history. So that is our setup. Zach, what do you think?
So I thought Top Gun Maverick was a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed reading people's opinions on it since it came out, hearing what other people think. I have not heard a single negative review. Like, everything I've heard about this movie is so glowingly positive, it's almost ironic, at least in Twitter's case. I liked it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I need to go see it again. I probably wouldn't mind seeing it in IMAX because I hear that's a good time. I think going in, I was a little too hyped for it. I came out feeling pretty good, and then everybody else in the world seems to come out of that theater and said it was amazing. So I need to revisit it, I think. But Top Gun Maverick was a lot of fun. What do you think, Andy?
I was really surprised by it, and I was super skeptical going in. I was like, and also like Top Gun, the original Top Gun is not really a great movie, but it was a very important one historically, just because it really cconnected with audience. It's a huge cultural milestone, but it's like from like a storytelling perspective, it's very cliche. Like there's a bunch of just cliche archetypes. So I was kind of skeptical, and also these legacy sequels have not been particularly good. All that, like, think of, I mean, The Force Awakens, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Ghostbusters with the 2016 one. It is hard to make a sequel that kind of builds on the world, builds on the characters, and isn't just nostalgia bait. And we do get plenty of that. Like the opening is basically the same as the original opening. It's like this down to the same font, planes on a aircraft carrier,
incredibly safe. Yes. Yeah, we're just gonna do the exact same gag.
And you got Tom Cruise looking exactly like he did in 1986. Same haircut, same glasses. He's got his leather jacket. He's got his bike. He's riding his bike.
A little older. He was like 23 in the old one. Like he's 59.
It doesn't look not exactly, but it's. I mean, he looks incredibly young for his age. But so we get a lot of the nostalgia stuff put on there, and initially I was like, oh, well, is this just going to be 2 hours of nostalgia? But it really turns a corner by introducing, when it gets to the story, it's actually really compelling, because you have this the conflict really works. Like you have this mission, which I'm not going to spoil, but you have something that is very dangerous, and that basically the military is like, we need to put you on what is not quite a suicide mission, but we're not going to call it a suicide mission, but if you don't come back, that's okay with us. And he has to, push these pilots far beyond anything they can go. The way I was trying to think of it is, if you were like a Formula One driver and you can do the lap in 30 seconds, they say you need to do it in 25. And you're like, well, I've already pushed myself, the vehicle, as much as it can go. How do I? It's a little bit like that. And like I said, the interpersonal relationships, the conflict there works really well. There's a lot of infighting between the pilots, between Rooster and Maverick, between Maverick and his officials, who are like, what do you do? We don't even know why you're here. We hate you. Everyone hates you. Like you should have been discharged. But it really does work. And the way the plot slowly kind of evolves also really works. It avoids a lot of kind of cliches and pitfalls. And the pilot stuff, the dogfighting stuff, the stuff in the planes is incredible. It really is. And we saw it in the glorious D-Box seats, $21 tickets that shake and move and rumble, and really added a lot to the experience. But it was really a fantastic time at the movies. It's some of the most fun I've had in a while. And I was really surprised, because I didn't expect to like this or enjoy it at all. And it really worked.
Yeah, so my initial kind of shine on this movie, I had seen in the second time I went and saw Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, there was a 5-minute preview of Top Gun Maverick in front of the film. And the first time I went and saw Doctor Strange, which was opening night with Andy and a couple other folks, no preview, just the trailer, which was a weird choice. Like, you'd think opening night you would have run that, but whatever. Maybe it was just the theater we were at. And that 5-minute preview was basically all aerial scenes. And it was great. And I think the aerial scenes are the best parts of the movie, hands down. That's the stuff that's most interesting. The actors had to do a ton of training leading into the film. They had to take multiple months of courses that Tom Cruise apparently made them take, because he's just that guy. They had to learn how to work the cameras inside of their own cockpits. Like, they had to be able to basically be their own cinematographers to make the stuff work, and it looks incredible. Like, those are functionally the best parts of the film to me, I think. And that's what's important, because that's the action bit, that's the dogfighting bit. And uniquely, just like Top Gun 1986, Top Gun Maverick is a little lopsided tonally. You've got the stuff in the air, which is amazing, and you got stuff in the ground, which is fun, but not like incredible, right? It can't be. It's not going to be as good as F-18 screaming across the sky. Like, it's just not. It's not going to be as cool.
That's exactly. And that's not what I'm here for. Like, if I go see Godzilla versus King Kong, I don't care what the people are doing or what the humans are doing. I'm here to see the spectacle.
Right. You're here to see the spectacle, and that stuff plays so great because it's so practical. But additionally, what Andy was talking about was how effective the story is at keeping you on the ground when you're supposed to be. Like, Maverick is not seen as any kind of respected individual at the school. Like, everybody kind of thinks he sucks, which is a nice shift, because obviously Tom Cruise is a larger than life movie star. So to see his character brought back down to earth, especially in the case of Captain Pete Mitchell, who Tom Cruise has said in previous interviews is a larger than life character. It's how he played him in 1986. To see him diluted down to kind of a shadow of former self and stepping into this mentor older role and stepping out of the cockpit is a really nice change. Now, there's plenty of Tom Cruise in the cockpit to look forward to here, but giving our characters a different set of objectives, not just getting students through the Top Gun school and seeing who's the best, but specifically bringing back previous graduates of Top Gun to have them run this like cool stealth mission that Maverick's going to oversee and plan and coordinate with them and train them for. That's interesting, because now we have a slightly different step away from just Top Gun school. We got the best in the world, right? The cockiest attitudes, the biggest personalities. And we've got Maverick trying to wrangle them all in just a short amount of time before the movie's over to run this cool mission and hopefully, succeed at defeating the nameless enemy, who is nameless because this movie's got to run in foreign markets. A weird step away from a big gung-ho Americana military film that opens with a ad for the Air Force from the Department of Defense. But that's the way the movie is, right? It's cinema and it's fun and it's a popcorn flick and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's smart, and not only in its like physical presentation and its budget and its special effects, but in its script, like in its very basic writing, that I thought it's really clever.
Yeah, like I said, there were so many plot holes, or not, sorry, not the plot kind of pitfalls it could have fallen into, a lot of cliches, or it could have just done a ton of rehashing, which has been done with most of these legacy sequels, and it managed to avoid all that. It keeps you really engaged, and yeah, like I said, I was really skeptical that it would keep my attention outside of like the airplane stuff, and it really did. I wouldn't be at this point that like. I mean, they're probably going to look to try and make another one now because of like how successful this has
been. Top Gun Rooster, right? That'll be like that'll be the next
Top Gun trilogy.
I think there will be another Top Gun for sure. Yeah, I don't think this will be it. I mean, I don't mean to harp on Tom Cruise's kind of approach to making these things, but like if you look at Mission Impossible, it seems very obvious that he's going to find like a vehicle he likes and stick with it, something he can coordinate, something he can hang on to and kind of use as his own personal project, which is fine because it's well made. If this had been just like a vanity feature, you'd hear about it. If this had just been like Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise, doing, making money, being Tom Cruise, that's what people would say. But like, it feels like so much more than that. It feels like a really authentic feature, like that's honest in its presentation, that has this kind of unique approach to Tom Cruise, and not just being the main character, but kind of stepping to the side a little bit. And like, that's exactly where he needs to be in his career. It's exactly the shift he needs to be making in his films. Man's 59 years old, right? Like, he can't be Ethan Hunt forever. And in this movie, Pete Mitchell is a smarter, wiser Pete Mitchell. He's grown as a character. He's not just the same doofus from 1986. That's important. I do want to talk about some of the other characters. I know you already mentioned Miles Teller as Rooster, who is Anthony Edwards' son in
I don't know
film
anyone
Rooster.
else's name.
Yeah. I got Wikipedia pulled up so I can help you out a little bit. What are the odds
nice.
IMDb would be down? We're doing the show. It's what are the odds? Who would know? But Miles Teller's a lot of fun. He looks exactly like Anthony Edwards and Meg Ryan's kid, and he acts like it too. Big guy, broad shoulders, like plays music, has the dumb mustache. It's fantastic. And the movie does not, honestly, like Rooster and Maverick, I'd say before the third act, don't get a whole lot of scenes together. It pretty much avoids the conflict up until it needs to be a conflict. So you're not bogged down with like emotional discourse. You're just spending the movie moving through exciting segments and like the next set piece, because obviously it's all in service of this big stealth mission they got to go do. That's the big thing. That's what everybody's focused on. It's not about Maverick and Goose. It's about this mission thing, and the Maverick Goose are kind of on the back end. It keeps the action at the forefront, which is exactly where it needs to be. Bit of a relationship going on with Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly's character. Jennifer Connelly does not play Kelly McGillis's character, Charlie, from the previous film. She is a bar owner, local bar by the Top Gun school called the Hard Deck, which is a funny flight-based pun when you go see the film. She's pretty good. I think she's supposed to be a character that was mentioned in the previous films. There's something about I mean, maybe I misread that, but I remember watching.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, we watched Top Gun last week for the show, and like once or twice in there, it's mentioned that Maverick went to flight school or whatever because he ended up in trouble with some admin's daughter, Penny. Well, Jennifer Connelly's character is named Penny, and I think that's who that's supposed to be. So he's got like a love interest. He's got this character he's kind of got a rivalry with. He's got these other kids he's got to teach, Monica Barbaro, Lewis Pullman, who we haven't seen since Bad Times at the El Royale, who's just as good in this as he was in that. He's probably better in that, actually, but he's a lot of fun in this. And Glenn Powell, with probably the breakout performance of the film. Glenn Powell's great in this movie. He's
Hangman,
like he's just like Maverick in the previous film,
except he's Maverick
an antagonist.
Yeah,
and he's great. Like, he's so much fun to watch. He's got this big toothy smirk. Like, he's a delight. He's a delight in this movie. He's more fun than Miles Teller.
Yeah, something that someone pointed out. So they all have these call signs, and one of them is just Bob. That's who said that. Lewis Pullman. He's just Bob.
Yeah.
And one of the reviews I was listening to is that they were hoping that that was at the end of the movie that was going to stand for something like really crass. That said, well, Bob stands for a big old like, and
sure.
It never goes there. But it's like it can maybe use some of that. A little bit, but it tones things down a little bit, because I watched another video about all the crimes that Maverick commits in the first movie and how he would be like arrested, and court-martialed for half of what he does. They really dial that down. Like he's still a little bit of a loose cannon, but he's within the law more of the time than not in this. So again, they do a really great job of just modernizing the film of not just reliving the 80s, but seeing what are films like now, what are conflicts and people. This film is much more diverse, all those types of things.
Yeah, and how speaking to how films are now, I was surprised at how censored this movie is. I know we mentioned it already, but the bad guys are never named in this movie. They just kind of like.
I mean, that's in the original too.
Yeah, that's true, but like they didn't have to worry about the original running in China. Like, in fact, that wasn't even really a concern in that movie until after it come out, and other people said, "Hey, maybe we can market this in foreign markets and add subtitles, and it'll work." And then it started making money. That's a big part of the reason why Top Gun was a big deal. Actually, it got internationally released. This movie was made with that in mind, and it's weird because this, like I said, this movie does a lot of flag waving, like lots of American flags. The Department of Defense worked directly with Paramount to produce the film. They loaned them F-18s. They loaned them missiles. Like they put the pilots through, or our actors through training for pilot stuff. Like they did a lot of work here.
You got to play nice with the government.
Yeah, and
you want to borrow their toys.
What's uniquely interesting is like they managed to play nice with the government and get all of these toys, but also produce a film that you can just slap different foreign language subtitles on and will run in any country and will work fine. They never mention Russia. They never mention China. They never say whether they're in Iran or Siberia. None of that's addressed. Middle East, Southeast. Nobody knows where any of this stuff is happening. And like it's fine. It doesn't step on the movie too much, but it does feel odd. Like it does feel a little weird to me, but that's a minor nitpick.
It to me, I think it's most closely referencing Iran, which I won't. It's spoilers to say why, but that's what that is the country that I was first reminded of.
I read that. I thought it was going to be Russia. But then, yeah, I got online and read that people said they thought it was kind of like Iran, somewhere in the Middle East, kind of a blend of different foreign nations, like kind of stuck together for this. I don't know. And which is fine. Like, you don't need to say, hey, we're going to attack the Ruskies today. Like I get it, but like I don't know.
It's odd not to have a named enemy.
It's just a little weird, yeah, and I'm a little surprised the Department of Defense wasn't like, by God, we're America, and this is what we stand for, baby, freedom. But like instead, they're like, no, we want to make money in as many markets as we can because we stand for making money. It's a movie, it's fine, I get it. Just an odd nitpick, but I do want to talk about the D-Box experience for a minute. Andy's right, we went and saw it in glorious D-Box at Cinemark for $21
ejected from the cinema.
Ejected. I was hoping I would be thrown from my seat in the first 5 minutes. And for those who don't know, D-Box seats are what they call 4D cinema seats. Your seat has motors in the bottom and moves around, so it'll sway or buck forward and back, like a little like a roller coaster ride, but not obviously very intense. They're pretty minor movements, but when you're watching the movie, like, and suddenly an F-18 takes off and your seat rocks back, like, it's noticeable, and that's something that's going to be enjoyable. And for a movie like this, honestly, would recommend. I don't know if I'd recommend D-Box for pretty much anything more serious than this, but like this is exactly the kind of popcorn flick where it's worth it. It doesn't throw you around too much. It's pretty minor. I was hoping I would be like popcorn up in the air, drink spilled all over myself. I was hoping it was going to be like violently fun. You can turn those motors up and down as much as you want, all the way up, baby. It was still pretty good, but would recommend for what's worth.
Yeah, I loved it too. I forgot that you can turn up and down the intensity of the rumble.
It's because we had one setting, which is all the way on.
Yeah, exactly. It's only on 4. It's a lot of fun, and then I forgot how effective it is because the very first thing that it does is like a jerk, kind of the way like when the plane lands and it just is kind of shakes you. That was like the very first thing, and I was like, "Whoa, oh yeah, this is really kind of intense." I forgot.
Yeah, and feeling like the sway of like when Maverick's on his motorcycle, like when he turns one way, your seat would sway. It did feel weird because it swayed the opposite way. It should have in a turn, but that's again, nitpicky. And my favorite D-Box moment that is a little bit of a spoiler, but I feel fine with it. Obviously, there's a couple of flashbacks in this film. One in particular, the flashback of Goose's death, which is tragic, when Goose is slammed into the canopy following an ejection and promptly snaps his neck instantly. Happened in the 1986 film. We see it again here in grainy footage on the screen. And your D-Box seat bucks backward when Goose's head slams into the canopy, and it's like, oh, that's what it felt like. This is what Paramount meant for me to feel like it felt like when Goose got hit, slammed into the canopy, and immediately died. It was amazing. I almost laughed to tears. It's the funniest moment in the movie. It's probably the funniest moment I'll ever have in a D-Box seat. Amazing. So if you have the means, if only to feel the crushing weight of Goose's mortality on your conscience, should you go see Top Gun Maverick and D-Box. A delight, an absolute cinematic delight. Most fun I've had at the movies in a long time.
I mean, it's really great for the plane scenes, but sometimes it's used at other funny moments. Like there's a scene where they're playing football on the beach, and you get a little bit of rumble when people are like tackled and pushed around. There's another scene where like they all kind of push and shove each other, get in each other's faces, like they're about to fight, and like the seats will rumble some. And to me, that's a little silly. Like I was like, you could just leave this part out. I don't need to feel the rumble. So I'm glad there wasn't a sex scene as well, because they would have thrown it in there as well.
Yeah, God, that would have been something. Yeah, your seat just rocking. Yeah, it's fine. Overall, Top Gun Maverick is a lot of fun. It feels like a movie you can take anybody to. Like it feels like a movie that pays homage to what it was, while also doing something new. I do think there will be another one. It doesn't exactly set up for a sequel, but I mean, it's such a rich idea, and look how much money it just made. Like, it seems inevitable that there will be some follow-up to this in some fashion, and hopefully it's just as good as this one, if not better. Andy, any other thoughts or recommendations?
I think I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend Top Gun Maverick?
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. I was really surprised. I was engaged the entire time. It was really exciting. They modernized everything. Like they updated the film. They created new conflicts that are interesting and engaging. They avoided a lot of the pitfalls that I think a lot of these legacy sequels have done. You get plenty of nostalgia as well to, relive your 80s childhood if you're that old. It was a lot of fun. If you can see it in IMAX or XD or a D-Box seat or any kind of premium format, definitely recommend that. But it was definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Top Gun Maverick is a lot of fun. I think it's good to take anybody to, especially your parents, if you have the means. You haven't gotten them out to the movies in a while. They will, according to statistics, overwhelmingly enjoy it. And from the few other older folks I know in my life that have seen it, they all said it was a ton of fun and they really liked it. I don't think it's particularly military. I know it is functionally funded by the Department of Defense, like, and it is kind of propaganda, but like it's not,
it's less so than it's not flag wavy the way
right. If anything, Maverick, it kind of is a flagrant, like he kind of throws authority and caution to the wind. So like, yeah, it is what it is. I don't think people are going to fly out and join the Navy like they did when the 1986 Top Gun film came out. That was a wild year. But it's a ton of fun. Like I no complaints. I'd like to go see it again just so I can kind of take it in fresh. It reminds me of when I saw Mad Max Fury Road after the first time. It was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And the second time I went and saw it, it was like, boom, like my eyes were open. So very pleased with Top Gun Maverick. I guess it'll be on Paramount Plus at some point. That'll be where it'll be. So if you want to see it when it comes to streaming, go check it out on Paramount Plus. Otherwise, go see Top Gun Maverick as soon as possible. And with that, we should move on to our next.